we might just reach for the libation next time.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. Sometimes libations are necessary.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's why I'm saying, like, maybe it'll make the conversation more livelier, but we can do what it do. I think we'll be okay.
Yes, I think so too.
Alrighty. Just because I know how these things work.
Okay.
If we have a audience of two, let's just have an audience of two, and that's fine.
Hey, audience of two. Hey, y'all.
So this is The Craft. The Craft is candid conversations with creatives. And in case you're not a creative or you've never heard the term before, a creative in our world is considered a marketer, a content creator, anyone who's in digital marketing, content marketing, photography, videography, journalism in some forms, because copywriting is obviously a creative. So all of those things and everything in between, right? So this is The Craft. I'm going to try and do this at least every 2 weeks at the very most. But this month being Women's History Month, I really felt the urge to highlight some of the women that are in the creative space, like our special guest. So this, again, like I said, it's The Craft. We'll be talking about things, marketing, journalism, and PR for the most part, right? My name is Kashan Kumar. I am the president and creative director for Poitier Marketing and PR Group. And without further ado, let me introduce our special guest, Ewurabenaa Appiah, who is many slashes. She is journalist / PR specialist / I guess you could say social media influencer, social media marketer, podcaster. Did I leave anything out?
It's
a lot of slashes.
Yeah, it's a lot of slashes.
Right, news producer and regular producer. Wow, TV show host. I mean, Lord, it's a lot of slashes.
It's a lot going on in these streets. It's a lot.
Right. Okay, so now all of the pleasantries are out of the way. I have a lot of questions. I even have a little game in here. So, like I said, candid conversations. So I had the urge to do this type of forum because I find a lot of businesses, personal brands, corporations, and all those in between, they make a lot of mistakes in, sometimes they don't know who to hire. Sometimes there's a lot of people in the space that are claiming to be creatives or marketers or writers, and there's no actual background or there's no actual proof. Per se, there's a lot of thank God for Facebook and social media to give them platform.
Out the gate, you throwing big rock.
It's candid conversations. Conversations. So yeah, I felt the urge to do something like this, and I've been kicking the can down the road long enough, and I felt like Women's History Month gave me that kind of like, okay, we can do it now. We can do it real simple, and we can do it right now. So just to set it up so people know where we're headed and the purpose. We're not just doing it just to be doing it, right? So first thing first, I've known you since 2012.
Yeah.
It's been 10 years.
Wow. Wow. That's a long time.
That's a long time. So
it's a long time.
How do we know each other? We know each other from the 2012 elections. Yes. Working the campaign trail, super stressful. I remember you being added to the team, like I think like 6 months after me.
Yeah, it was much, I think you and the other guy, Terrence had been in the trenches. Y'all had been in the trenches for months, and then I was
like,
added.
You need help?
Yeah.
Pretty much in a nutshell.
Listen.
So yeah, those were I can say now those were fun times, but it was too stressful.
Yes, good times, but it's always the stressful things that bring the most. Like when you look back and be like, yeah, boy, we was doing that. We did that. Yeah.
I would probably say like working with you those a year and a half. It was like, I remember you being the source of fun for me. Like I took things so seriously, and I was so, like you said, in the trenches. that you were the one I would, like, not even really trying. You were the one who caused me to pause and have fun. Like, do you remember the She's So Ratchet video?
Oh, we used to love that. We used to play that every day, at least once a day. That became a part of the campaign vernacular at one point. Everything and everyone was ratchet. That's kind of
everything was ratchet. You said.
It was good times.
So it was always fun working with you. Like, like I said, it helped me to have balance. Anyone who ever worked with me could know, I could be a drive sometimes.
Tashawn is the get it done. She's the get it done woman. She says, this is what's on the agenda. This is what we need to get done. We're going to get it done.
We can get it done right now. We can get it done right now. Right.
We can get it done, but can we also crack a joke in between? Like, can we poke fun at something in the middle? I would like
exactly. That. So I think you definitely helped me to bring down my seriousness, and to inject. Yeah, we could work hard, but we could also play hard, which was super essential for a good working environment. I feel
for sure.
So my first question. Yes. You ready?
I am.
With so many slashes, like you're super multifaceted and super multi-talented, do you ever find yourself in that weird place where you have to prove or flex? Because I got this question because it happened to me recently. Because someone told me I'm too nice, I'm too humble. And I make the work seem easy.
Yeah.
So the advice I was given was that I need to flex more. And I was like, dang, it's almost like it's a negative in some ways to be multifaceted and multi-talented. But you're an extrovert. Right. I'm more introverted. Do you find yourself having to flex, having to prove that you earned these slashes?
You know what? Sometimes you do. And I promise you, it's a thing for me specifically because I generally, as much as extroverted as I am, I like to play the back. I like to be the person in the background getting it done. I enjoy the pre-production stuff. Like, I can be talent, I can be on camera, I can do that, I can host. But if you let me, I won't be in the back. I won't be I want to help the wheels turn. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so sometimes I find that people take it for granted that, I am as good in the back as I seem to be in the front.
Right.
And so, sometimes you have to really remind people that, hey, I does this. I don't do this. I does this. And I've been doing this, and it's not to say that you want to be arrogant or you want to come off, any kind of way. But sometimes, but sometimes people need to be reminded, because I think, especially when you're known for doing a lot, people assume that something's slacking, something ain't gonna be right.
She's really doing all that.
Yeah, she's really doing all that. No, she does. She does.
Yeah.
So sometimes, yes.
Yeah. Cool. And especially in this market, right? Because it is rare. You and I have a similar background in that we started out in journalism. Yes. And then we kind of like wiggled our way into the marketing space. So, if the person isn't constantly reminding you and telling you that, you would be like, wow, really? It's kind of rare,
I tell people all the time, I started in radio news. May of 2015 was when I landed my first radio job home from college doing news. I was a cub reporter. I was a field reporter. That means I went out every day trying to dig up the stories, asking the hard questions. And I think when you're in that sort of environment, it teaches you to think on your feet. It helps you to like prove yourself. It improves your confidence, because you can't go into the meeting with the prime minister and be scared. You can't be like, you can't be timid. You know what I mean? I remember the very first time, I think this was when the former Prime Minister Hubert Ingram had come back into politics. And this would have been my first ever anything with a politics, like, you know what I mean? And Hugh Biggity had a reputation for being biggity. That's how he got the name.
No, he was always nice to me.
But this actually had a reputation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I remember my editor at the time was like, don't go in there half stepping. Don't go in there unprepared because he will call you out. And I went in there and I was like, okay. And I knew I had to, I better bring back a solid story, not no fluff, not no, you know what I mean? I better have gone in there. And I really had to find my testicular fortitude and say, okay.
Did you find
it? I did. You know, it turned out really well. He was very nice to me. Okay. I went back. I was like, I don't know why everybody's scared him. He's so nice. You know, that's really how I left the encounter. But, you know, I think when you start out in that environment, it just sort of prepares you for any and everything else.
Right. Yeah. Right. I completely agree. I know about the cub reporter. I even had the byline cub reporter. I was hazed by, I won't call the journalist names, but at the time they were like the big boys, you know? And I was literally the cub reporter. I didn't wear no makeup back then. I was not looking the part at all. But in any event, I'm appreciative of that experience because it toughens you up. Well, obviously, really any journalist will tell you have to have a thick skin, like, period. There's no way around it.
Yeah, because a lot of situations, and the thing is, and you have to learn to be fearless. You have to do it scared. You know what I mean? Because there are some people who can be intimidating, and then sometimes there are instances where you have to be the one because that's your job. You have to ask the tough questions, and sometimes the tough questions ain't nice, and the tough questions ain't easy, and you don't want to be on the receiving end of anyone's vitriol or anyone's wrath, but that's the job. You know, so it makes you feel, and I think that's something that I've tried to carry with me in everything else. You know, even if I am petrified, you want to know, you know, as much as I try to be as level-headed and as calm for myself as possible, even if I am shaking like a leaf on the inside. Right.
Yeah. Absolutely. I completely agree, and I can relate. Okay, so when you made the transition from, not necessarily the transition, but when you added marketing to your repertoire, like when did that happen? Do you know the moment that happened, or was it an opportunity that came up?
You know, I think there was a period in time when I was really burnt out doing news. I was going really hard. And anyone who's ever done like broadcast news or daily news, anyone who's ever done that knows that you'll be pushing yourself, you'll be going after it. And then sometimes you just be exhausted. You are tired of everybody's foolery. You don't want to have to listen to the same narratives over and over again. You don't want to have to be telling the same stories over and over again. So it can, you know, be taxing. And I had gone through this period where I was really burnt out.
Yeah.
I was like, I need something else to do. I need somewhere else to go, but I knew that I still wanted to write. I still wanted to be like, you know, close to the environment, And so
it's a rush.
Yeah, it really is. It's exciting. I used to tell people, especially when I first started, I was like, there is no reason I should love my job this much.
Yeah.
People would be like, seriously? Yes. I live for the thrill. I love being on the scene of something. I love being in the thick of things, you know?
Right.
And so, but like I said, I got really burnt out and I wanted to do something else, but I still wanted to be close. I wanted to be nearby, you know, in case something was popping off. I'd be like, oh yeah, I still know what's going on. And so I got an opportunity to become like a freelance writer for a marketing company in Freeport. And that's where it started. I really sort of got the bug, you know, being in that environment. It was something new, but it also felt familiar, you know. It wasn't like, I didn't feel completely out of my depth. And, you know, I used that opportunity to sort of learn a lot about the way the local market works, the way marketing works, all of that. And it really just, you know, grew to become a passion of mine as well.
Right, yeah. Right. So did writing always come easy to you, or was it just broadcasts that lured you in?
Honestly, I wanted to be a writer first before I wanted to be a broadcaster. I knew I was always really good at writing. I find it easier to express myself with a pen and a paper more easily sometimes than it is to be verbal.
Yeah.
And I remember when I decided I wanted to be a writer, I was in 9th grade. I had an English teacher. My mom is an English teacher actually, but I had an English teacher named Miss Jenkins. And we used to have like mock end of term exams just to sort of prepare you. And I did my mock exam and I wrote my essay. You know, there's always the essay question. I wrote the essay and she failed me. She was like, this is trash. She's like, but you could do this better. Oh. She's like, you could do this. She said, you absolutely could do this better.
So she pushed you.
She pushed me. She was like, write it again. And she's like, and when you rewrite it, if it's better, you get extra credit, so you don't get an F, you don't fail. Because who was I going to take an F in my mommy and daddy house? Where is going? Yo, Shana doesn't come to live with you because I couldn't do that. So
couldn't be in my house either.
See? So I rewrote it. I brought it back to her, and she goes, "This is better. Write it again."
Right.
And I think by the 4th rewrite, I was like, "Oh, I like this." I was like, I realized in those moments, I could take the critique, I could take the criticism of the work, but I knew especially if it could be better. And that's sort of where and I made up my mind. I was like, yeah, I could do this for a living. I need to know what are the careers that are going to allow me to do this forever. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get paid. Like I could do this for free. But if I could get paid for it, it's even better.
Run me my coin. Run me my coin.
So obviously there are, because you've later on in your career, you're writing speeches for politicians, you're doing press releases. So you've worked on both spectrums of, I guess, journalism or PR, however you want to say it. Yeah. One side is journalism, one side is PR, right? Mm-hmm. So obviously there are some advantages with being a journalist and writing a press release or managing media, period, right? Yeah. So what's the advice you would give to a small business owner, a personal brand, as it relates to, whether they might be on the fence on whether to hire a publicist or an agency outsource to someone to handle their PR? What advice would you give them?
The first thing I would say is this type of work is a specialty.
Right.
It is not just you slap some words on a paper and call it a day. It is a specialty. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so if you want it done correctly, if you want it done efficiently, if you want it to be as effective for your business or your brand as you envision it to be, then you have to engage with the people who have made this, this specialty their area of specialty. It really just comes down to that. Like I'm not going to go to a doctor to do my hair. I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not going to go to a painter, like it's someone who paints a house to say, do my makeup just because you know how to handle a paintbrush. That's not how this works. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of times people are reluctant to spend money on marketing because they don't understand the value. You know what I mean? They don't understand what a good press release could do. They don't understand how a media campaign can really propel a story. And that's really what it is. You need storytellers. You need people who are going to tell the story of you, the story of your brand, and make it something, make that story something other people want to buy into, and that's how you make your money. So, I mean, if you say you're in the business of making money, then you need to invest in that as well,
Right. Mm-hmm. I completely agree too. And, adding to that, the number one mistake, or should I say the number one question that I always hear people say, whether they're in a small business or a corporation, is that, oh, I don't have money for that, or PR is expensive. It's so much free things you could be doing. You could literally write a press release and post it on Facebook. It's so many free avenues. Not to say that you should only go to free avenues, but if you're hesitant or you need to have some viable proof that PR is something that you should, be investing in, try some of the free options and mix it up with some of the paid options.
Yeah, that is very true.
Right, and even like live liners, it's amazing to me how much people don't even know that it exists. And for those who are on the video chat, live liners is when, for instance, 100 Jams say, you know, the Road by mix is sponsored by Ewurabenaa Appiah Productions. That's a live. And they are as low as $25. That's not expensive, you know.
I think,
but like I said, there are even. Go ahead. Sorry.
I think people have this misconception that you know, they're watching the huge corporations, the conglomerates. They're watching that, and you think, I know that costs money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And a lot of stuff does. Don't get me wrong, it ain't cheap. You know, the good stuff you have to pay for, but there are so many options available to you at so many different price points. And I find that, you know, marketers we know how to make $1 out of 15 cents. If you come and you say, this is the kind of thing that I want to do, then we say, okay, well, these are the options available to you. This is how we can maneuver these types of things to your benefit. You know what I mean? Right. That's the beauty of the job. That's what we do. And that's why I say it's a specialty, because the average person doesn't know how to do that. Right. Yeah, you know?
Yeah, I completely agree. So yeah, there are definitely advantages. Someone who has a media background, a media degree, knowing the ins and outs, but I would even say, as far as someone who is in journalism, obviously they have those relationships. So PR is a lot to do with relationships too, right? Honing those relationships.
For sure.
So yeah.
I think journalism is the same way, because you start out with your contacts. You need to know something. You need to know which government, or who in which government office to call and be like, I hear this. Can you confirm or deny? You know, and so again, you know, a lot of things that benefit me in the PR world, I learned, you know, in the press room. I learned in the newsroom.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree with that. You know, it's definitely like teetering the line, that tightrope between the two, for sure. For sure. So let's play a game.
Okay. I'm good at games. I'm already good. I'm very competitive.
Oh, you're competing with yourself. Oh, okay. You're not competing with me.
That's good. It's just me one game.
That's funny. See, I'm very competitive. Maybe you won't compete with me. Okay, so you ever heard of the game Plead the Fifth?
Yes.
Ooh, okay, so we're not drinking, because I usually when you either say Plead the Fifth or you drink. We're not gonna be drinking it. Not today. Okay, right. This is the first of the series. I'm gonna be easy on you.
I appreciate it.
All right, so pardon?
I appreciate you going easy on it. You know.
You know, sometimes I'm a little lenient. Sometimes. Okay, so the objective of the game is you pick one or the other, or if you feel stumped, you say Plead the Fifth.
Okay.
Okay. So for example, Revlon or Mac?
Revlon.
Okay. I'm guessing it's neither one.
Yeah.
The way you answered just now.
I mean, you know why? Let me tell you why I like Revlon, because they're not expensive. You know, I be trying to hold on to my little minis.
This is Revlon.
You know, so, yeah.
This is Revlon.
Revlon be coming with it. People be sleeping on drugstore brands, but that's a conversation for another day. That's, you know.
Okay, so you got it? You ready? All right. Pick one. In front of the camera or behind the camera?
Behind.
Facebook or Instagram?
Instagram.
Morning person or night person?
Night person all the way.
Journalism or marketing?
Ooh, okay. Ooh, that's hard.
Really?
That's hard. You know what? If I was 5 years younger, I would say journalism.
Okay.
But right now, I'm getting old. I need to let me sit in the office and write a press release. I don't need to be on the road.
Man, you weren't that old. I mean, you're not old at all. Hold on. First of all, I don't know when you started. Well, you say you started in 2015. So
2005.
I started in 2000. I started right after I graduated. Yeah. And when I was there, Lindsay Thompson was the business editor at the NASA Guardian. Donald Knowles was still a photographer. Who else? Jeez. I don't know if you remember Mark. Vanessa Clark was there. Who else?
Good times.
Right. So they were older than what the age we are now. Yeah. I mean, I'm not diminishing them. They were like, you know.
Yeah. I would still give it. Yeah. I don't feel like I want to chase down no politicians for no stories. No,
yeah, I mean, I get that for sure. But you wouldn't be. I mean, you wouldn't see. You never saw yourself as an editor.
I did. I mean, you know what it is, but I edit now as a marketer. Like I edit copy. I think I edit more now than I ever did before.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
so I would choose PR. I think journalism was my first love and PR is my new love.
Yeah. I get that. I get that. I guess I'm playing devil's advocate. I get that. And I think because we started so young, it's like, what else is there to accomplish?
I grew up doing news. You know, like that was my real first, like my career experience was being a cover reporter at Cool 96 in Freeport. That's where I started, you know what I mean? I started with Taylor Ferguson. She was my editor at the time. And she was like, okay, you have your papers, but now I'm about to throw you to the wolves. And I remember specifically, she said, I'm going to throw you to the wolves. I expect you to come back a wolf.
Oh, I never heard that one.
Those were my marching orders. She said to me, I'm throwing you to the wolves. I expect you to come back a wolf. And I said, yes, ma'am.
I never heard that one. The line that I was given, Oswald Brown was my editor at the time. And he said, we're going to throw you like a baby learning to swim and just throw you in the water. I was like, what a hardest thing to say to somebody.
He said, Lloyd, you better float. You better do something. Whether you float or you doggy paddle, you better get it together.
Yeah, I swam and I'm still swimming. So it's so crazy. Like, you think that you can't do it or it seems like a task, but I mean, once you are a writer, first and foremost, you can pretty much survive. Once you're a writer and like you have the competitive spirit, like you said. But yeah, okay. This one should be easy. Grand Bahama or Nassau?
Grand Bahama in your belly. Freeport or nothing, King. What you talking about? I'm a Freeport girl all day, all night. No fact, you know, I love my Nassau life. I do, but Freeport is home. Freeport is home.
Yeah. All right, last one. DNA or F&M?
Child, give me the green light. Don't get in trouble. Don't get in trouble. Listen.
I know you've worked on multiple campaigns.
I like Arinthia. I said what I said. I like Arinthia. And I don't do news no more. So I can have a political opinion now. I like Arinthia.
All right. Okay, girl.
I'm in the back of my mind somewhere, I'm imagining a Mia Motley moment for the Bahamas. Like I want that so bad for us. I want that so bad for us.
Yes, absolutely. And obviously in the spirit of Women's History Month, I'm all the way there with you on that. We are all sitting on the sidelines waiting for that moment. I mean,
well, listen, I said to someone, can we borrow she? We can give back. I just want to borrow for a little. I love Mia Motley. So, you know, I'm hoping that somewhere, somehow.
I don't know. I know we're diverting off the topic, but I don't know if Bahamian women are ready. It sounds crazy, but I actually feel like more Bahamian men are ready than Bahamian women.
You know,
I'm just being honest.
I literally just said what I'm about to say to a coworker today, and I said, "Have you met women? We will vote against ourselves for every time. We will do everything that is not in our best interest." And it just hurt my feelings because I don't understand.
Like I'm constantly hearing women. I'm constantly hearing women in influential positions, well educated and cultured, say that men and women are not equal. We are not equal to men. Yeah, girl. So we have work to do before we even can.
I refuse to be triggered right now. I refuse to allow myself to be triggered. Oh, girl.
All I'm saying is the journey is long and we are not there yet. That's what I'm saying.
The journey is long.
Right. So back to before I get you in trouble, back to marketing and PR, right? So you're a podcaster. How long have you been podcasting for now?
I literally launched the podcast last year, 2021. So you know, April of this year will make a solid year.
Okay, so a year. Okay, cool. Can you tell me a little bit more about your podcast?
Okay, so the podcast is called the Pum Pum Panel. The name is getting me in trouble for every time.
I was going to say which pom pom. You mean pom poms or
no, not pom poms. Pum pum. At the Pum Pum Panel we're talking about. So this name gets me in trouble every day because people assume that we're talking about vaginas, and we're not talking about vaginas. You know what I mean? It's called the Pum Pum Panel because it's an all-female panel. I have like the vagina monologues. Kinda, you know, it's the Pum Pum Panel. It's women discussing the things that impact women. You know, whether that's your vaginal health, whether that's your financial health, you know, whatever it is. We have assembled a panel of women, you know, people with pum pums, if you will, to discuss the things that, you know, that affect women. I think, you know, it's one of those. I mean, obviously there are tons of platforms, but I like to think of my little podcast as, you know, the safe space for all conversations about women, for women, by women.
Okay, awesome. I actually need to tune in because I did not know. I don't know why. I also thought you guys just talked about sex, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
No, listen, the name is misleading. The name is misleading, but I named it that because there's a funny story. I remember I was out with a friend of mine. We were at a bar. And we were at the bar. We were having a conversation about one of the bartenders, and he kept trying to eavesdrop. And she says to him, she's like, "Say all that business. This is not your conversation. This is a pum pum panel. We having a pum pum." And I went, and we both looked at each other like, "That would be a great name for a podcast." And I went, "Yeah, it would." And that's how we ended up. That's how we ended up there. You know.
Cool, awesome. So, for a personal brand or maybe even a company, what tools do you need to start a podcast? Like, other than the will to do it, obviously.
You need a mic. There are the mics that I started with. Literally cost me $50 on Amazon, $49.99. I got 2 of them, and you need the mic. The mic is important. You need editing software. I'm a fan of Adobe Audition because that's what I used. Ironically enough, I learned to use that editing radio newscasts. A lot of people don't know that I used to edit all my own stories. I used to put them together. I used to edit the entire package and send it on to production to air, you know. So, you know, again, my newsroom skills came in handy later on in life, you know. So I use Adobe Audition to do that. And you need a virtual mixer. There are tons of little mixing apps and things available online that you can use just to make sure that everything sounds right. And then boom, and you have a podcast.
Okay.
And awesome. If you want it to be a video podcast, all you need is your phone and a mount. That's really all it is.
Right. So it's pretty reasonable price wise. It's not too technical to start. It's pretty easy.
No, I think again, there's a misconception that this is so difficult to do. Now there is a learning curve, as with everything, there is a learning curve. But I think that once and there's so many resources now available to you about learning how to navigate software, like, the basic, just learning the basic tools that you need to edit, that those things are so easily available to you now, especially now, more so now than they ever have been in life. So if you want to do it, it's really, what you really need is the will. You need to do it, right. Because finding the equipment, getting a setup is very easy. You can have a solid podcast setup for under $200 if you're serious. You can have a podcast setup for under $200.
And then you don't even have to edit your own stuff, right? You can just...
You really don't. You can outsource that too. It's true.
Yeah.
You really don't have to edit your own stuff. You can outsource that too. There are professionals, there are media professionals who, that's what they like to do. Like editing to me is quick, fast. I don't know. I especially if I know what it's supposed to sound like already, I have an idea. I know where the little flub is. I know how I want in and out, So
yeah.
That's not something that you have to necessarily, as the podcaster, be overly concerned about. You can find someone to edit it for you, and you have, a product that you are able to put out.
And you know what? I actually love editing. It's funny. I enjoy copy editing more than I enjoy writing.
Really?
And I enjoy editing like footage or audio way more than being the person that's shooting. I rather give you instructions rather than shoot. Like, here's the camera, do this, do that, and then I'll edit myself. I actually enjoy that. I don't know why. It doesn't feel like work to me.
I enjoy audio editing. I do not enjoy video editing because I'm not as adept at video editing as I am at audio. It's literally just because I feel like I can be better at it. So things that I'm still working on improving on it. They're not necessarily the favorites, but but I love editing audio. I love the way, and I think that came over time too, because I learned on the job. Again, the woman said, "Come back a wolf." She said, "I'm throwing you in there." So, I had to learn quickly to make sure things were edited properly. And I think I am most proud of my audio editing skills because I really work at that. You know what I mean? I really worked at that. I really worked to make it clean. I really worked to make it sound right. I wanted whenever a newscast that I edited touched the air, it was damn near perfect.
Right.
So I enjoy that aspect of it for sure.
This actually reminds me, you were the person who taught me, if you don't have like the soundproof walls to collect that, what you call it? What's the word?
The background noise?
The waves or whatever, the sound waves, to put a blanket over my head when I record.
Yeah.
And like that made a world of difference. Yeah, you're right. It was the background noise.
Yeah, I remember once or twice, especially like when because usually I was like, in a lot of the newsrooms, I was the only person. So let's say I was working from home and it was just really loud. So I remember one time I recorded, edited, sent in the newscast, and he was like, "I can't run this." I go, "Why?" It's a fully like, he's like, "I could hear all the things happening in the background. I can't run this." And so I had to figure it out. I was living in my little apartment by myself. I was like, well, if I want to keep my job, I need to do this. I need to do it better. And so I realized, I sit in the middle of the bed on, soft blankets, throw the thing over my head because it compresses the sound.
Yeah.
It compresses the sound. So those are like little tips and tricks and things that I learned over many years that have really helped. I mean, and now, I actually have like an audio booth there. Like I elevated a little bit, thank the Lord. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily have to sit in my bed with a blanket over my head no more. I know things now, so yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And for those of you who might be thinking like, how do I create my own sound booth? The little cartons that you get from Wendy's, who else has them? I can only think of Wendy's right now. Free plug. The little
I think Burger King still does them. Yeah, I think Burger King still uses Burger King. I think they still do that.
The fast food restaurants, they give you these cartons to put your drinks in. They are made out of cardboard or biodegradable cardboard. You can actually staple gun them to your wall, covered completely, and that is equivalent to what you would see in a radio station. The little sound they have. Yeah. So if you are looking to have your own sound booth, that works perfectly. Just make sure you cover the entire wall. Try to get as many as you can. And then, just use like your closet or something like that.
Honestly, I tell people all the time, when it comes, you just have to start, and there are so many resources and stuff available. If you ain't sure, the University of YouTube is real.
It's so real.
The University of YouTube will teach you all manner of things. And there's so many like really cool tech people who are on there reviewing equipment that you think you need. I let Instagram get me, but I promise you this little thing is the best thing that I have purchased for myself. It's called a Pivo. It's a rotating mount. It holds your phone, you attach it to a tripod, and it tracks your face and it tracks your butt.
Oh yes, I've seen that.
Oh my God.
Does it work? Does it work?
That is my favorite purchase. That's the favorite piece of tech that I own currently is the Pivo.
Wow.
Because now I don't need someone to stand around and take my pictures when I need to post outfits. I don't need, you know what I mean?
Oh,
it acts as
I was gonna say, are you a dancer?
it acts as a second camera when I'm shooting video for the podcast. So I have my main camera, that's the wide angle, and I have my Pivo is my solo camera, and it moves. If I move, it rotates.
Yeah.
It will follow your body. It will follow your body. That's honestly, I love that thing. I absolutely love it.
So, I'm using it right now. I can't show it to you. But I have this flexible mini tripod, and it clamps onto my phone. I can attach it to a pole. I can use it as a tripod.
It has like a good grip on everything.
Yeah, and I can use it as a selfie stick and whatnot. That's like my favorite gadget. I actually have two of them actually.
Nice.
But the one that I have that I'm using now, I like it just because the grip is a lot more, I guess, grippable than the other one. That's a better word, but yeah, those little gadgets, and this cost me I swear $10.
No, honestly, people think that you have to have super expensive equipment when you are just starting out. Obviously, as you grow into what you do, you want to invest in the big boy toys, but to start, your phone, a tripod, a Pivo. The Pivo cost me maybe $100.
Yeah,
I bought it over one Christmas or two ago, and that really it helps up your game a little bit.
Absolutely.
So even if you don't have a team, if you don't have a it make you look like you got little things.
Exactly. Yeah, I completely agree. So this is my last question before we open it up for Q&A. Because I it's something that obviously is a good segue. It's something that I didn't really think about when I was drafting my questions. As far as equipment, when you're starting out as a content creator, right? And people think, like you say, you have to go and get these big equipment. I know when I started out, I had in my head, I bought a bunch of equipment that's still in boxes now. I have these lights that photographers and videographers use. I have never taken them out of the box.
Guilty.
Right?
Well, at least mine out the box.
Mine is in the box. It has a coat of dust on it. So, what? I've obviously through trial and error, I know the answer to this question. But to you, especially you in the podcast space, you're in the creating video content space, not just audio. So, what is the right path? Would you say that it's like you just said, just buy the little equipment that you need now, and then just focus on that, and just make your $1,500,000 production, but you're using small equipment. Or what is another way of going about being the best content creator that you want to? As far as equipment, anyway.
There's really no right and no wrong. In terms of equipment, in terms of anything, what you really need is the will to do. Because let me tell you something about me. When I started, I went and bought a really cute camera. I mean, I love my camera. But I read a post from, oh God, who was it? I can't remember who it was, but I saw it on Instagram very recently. And she basically said, if you're not using your phone to vlog, you're not going to use your camera to vlog. Save your money. And I went, oh, well, mash mic on, because you ain't even have to do that like that. Right. Like, you know what I mean? It does not matter. Right now, most phone cameras are super high quality. You could get super high quality, video from an iPhone, from a Samsung. It's not that serious. I think in terms of podcasting, like I said, you wanna get at least a solid mic. And you could get a decent starter mic for $50. You know what I mean? It's not, and most of them are USB capable and things like that. And the Adobe Audition license software is $20. And the software, I think I pay $20 a month. That's less than some people spend on food.
Coffee.
You know what I mean? Snacks. So if you're serious, what you need to do is do your research. I would say figure out what is in your budget. Be realistic about what is in your budget. But then once you've made the decision, examine your commitment to the process. If this is something you really want to do and you say you are going to do it, you are going to be committed to the process. Because one of the things that I learned as a podcaster especially, and I'm very guilty of this, because I don't be as consistent as I need to be. But you have to be prepared to do at least 100 episodes. And this before you get like a following, before people be like, oh, this person's serious. Be prepared, at least 100.
Yeah.
At least 100 episodes, you know what I mean? So once you just do some research, find out what the most inexpensive but effective pieces of equipment you could. I mean, most people already have a pretty decent cell phone. You're already halfway there. You know what I mean? If you have a good cell phone, you're halfway there. Like you say, a tripod will cost you $10, if that.
Yeah.
The software subscription I told you was $20. The mic cost me $50. You're still under $100.
Mm-hmm.
You're still under $100. It really comes down to whether or not you want to do it. That's really where rubber can hit the road. If you want to do it and you really committed to it, then you can do it.
Yeah. And then, like you said, just deciphering what kind of production you want it to be like. Exactly. If consistency is a problem, then perhaps you want to change your plan, tweak it a little bit. Yes,
you want to tweak the format.
Right. Exactly.
Because I think people see big production, be like, yeah, I want this, I want that. But that's expensive and you can't afford that right now. So be realistic about what you can afford that is going to give you good quality, because that's also the vicious cycle that content creators find themselves in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because your content has to be good quality for it to get views. People don't want to watch a raggedy video. They don't want to watch grainy video. They don't want to hear bad sound. They want quality before they sit down and watch it and support it, right? Yeah. But in order to do that, you need people to support it so you could afford to get the equipment that you need to. It's a vicious cycle. So, if you're not careful, you will fall into the cycle and you'll just be in there. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to say, okay, I can start. It may not be the best right away, but you have to commit to making it better. You have to commit to making it the best with the budget you have, so that when you get a budget and the equipment you have, so that when you get a budget, you can execute the vision, at a bigger scale. That's really what
Yeah, that's golden. That's good. That's great advice, especially for people who are startups, startup content creation companies, as well as personal brands, for sure. Okay, so let's open up the chat for some questions. I just want to remind everybody, this is The Craft, the Candid Conversations with Creatives. My name is Kashan Culmer. I'm the president for Ewurabenaa Group, and I am so happy and privileged to have Ewurabenaa Appiah, who is a content creator, podcaster, as you just heard, journalist, PR specialist, and everything else in between. So any questions you have for her or myself, we're opening it up to that right now.
Questions.
Don't be shy. Anything related to what we talked about? Maybe you have questions about podcasting or equipment. Questions about we didn't get a touch on the social media influencer part of your day-to-day routine.
Child. You know what I would say? I am still on my social influencer journey, if you will. Sometimes it's a struggle. It'd be a struggle, child. But again, that also comes consistency. You know what I mean? I think when I'm in it, like when I am being consistent, it works. And then when I'm not, I could tell.
I was gonna say, how do you like do time management?
Bruh, lack of sleep. Coffee is great. Coffee is the great equalizer of life.
Coffee.
No, coffee is the great equalizer. I mean, you know what? I think I have to make the time. So sometimes if that means I get up an hour earlier because I need to write a press release, then I get up an hour earlier. I write the copy. If I know I have a brand partnership that requires me to shoot video content, sometimes I get home from work, I have myself a nice coffee, I pull out the clothes, I set up the video, and I go to work, and I work until that is done, and then I go to bed, and then I get up and I go to my job, my 9 to 5, and then you start it all over again. Sometimes I come home, and I have a press release to write. I write that then. So it really, you got to commit the time.
Okay. You see the question? Okay.
Yes. So would I need special equipment and lighting? No, you don't need special equipment. Lighting, if you get let's say you get an 18-inch ring light. The current ring light I have in front of me is actually a 14-inch, and it works pretty well, as you can see. You can get an 18-inch ring light from Amazon. Maybe $50 is the cheapest that I've seen them. You need a ring light, especially if you're going to do video. If it's going to be a video podcast, invest in one solid ring light at the very least. Like I was telling Kashan earlier, you do need a microphone. There are so many available on the market now. The microphones that I got when I first started out, I forget the brand right this second, but I paid $50 for them on Amazon. You can get a Yeti mic. That's also a really popular podcast. There's a really popular podcast mic from Yeti. Yes, and it's basically set up to be a podcast microphone. So all of the features are already built in. It's like a one-stop shop type thing. You can get one of those depending on which model you get. Maybe starting at $100, maybe, if you find a good sale. So you don't necessarily need like super top of the line. You don't need like a whole podcast setup. I stuck for my podcast background. I took some newspaper. I had a good friend of mine come. We glued them together and then we taped them to the wall. And that was my podcast setup. So if you're looking to do interesting, So if you're looking for an interesting backdrop, you don't necessarily even have to do that. You can use lights. You can use colored lights as a backdrop. There's not really, podcasting is one of those creative outlets that you can sort of jump into really quickly. Like I said, the software that I use is called Adobe Audition. If you pay for the Creative Cloud, you get Audition along with a bunch of other stuff. You get Photoshop, you get Lightroom, you get all these different products. And you even you can even get access to Adobe Rush, which is like a video editing software for beginners. It's very easy to maneuver, very easy to navigate. You know, so you really don't, it's not, and I, like I was telling Kashan, I pay maybe $20 a month for my Adobe subscription. I think they bill it for the year, and that's that. You know, so what you need is a ring light, a mic, your editing software. And like I was also telling her, you can use, depending on the type of mic you get, you may need a digital mixer so that you can mix the sound, so that it feeds into the actual program. That way it's easier to edit, you know. Free software. Ooh. I can't speak to free software because I've always used Adobe. I am sure there is free software out there, but I've always used Adobe. I am comfortable in the Adobe environment, so that's usually what I recommend. But I can, if you like, I'll take, Kishan, if you take note of his
yeah, I actually know of one.
Oh, okay.
I don't use it all the time, but how can I say it? I use it usually when I want to add motion graphics. It's called Wondershare, WUNDERSHARE. So instead of Wonder with an O, it's Wonder with a U. So it's called Wondershare. I can DM it to you so you can have an idea of what the logo and everything looks like, but it's absolutely free. It's kind of like, if anyone is familiar with Final Cut Pro, it's kind of like Final Cut Pro for beginners. So it's the landscape or the application itself.
Mimics that environment.
Yeah, it's the same type of environment, same type of features. It's just easier to use, in my opinion, and it has a lot of motion graphics. Like the titles are a lot more modern and exciting. And honestly, when I'm not using Final Cut Pro, or I'm not using the Wondershare, and I just want to do something really, really quick, like for me personally, I use iMovie. The people in my circle, the videographers and other creatives, they're like, really? Like your iMovie still works? Yes, it still works, and it still comes through in the clutch for me. So if you are the kind of person where you just want to get something done quick and easy, and you're just like editing, I wouldn't use iMovie for like motion graphics, even though they have that capability. But I've outgrown iMovie's features. But again, if you want something just to edit video or just to edit audio, it's super easy to use. It's super fast. It's efficient. I actually think it's a good beginner stage before you move on to the other programs, like the paid ones or the Final Cut Pros or After Effects or whatever it is that you use for motion graphics, in my opinion.
That's good.
And I also wanted to show this light. It's like a mobile light. It has like 3 different modes.
Nice.
Of brightness, and it goes right on my phone. So it's like a mini ring light. I can't remember how much I paid for that, but I promise you it was super cheap. Super cheap. What I think we should do,
we have to dispel the notion that equipment is super expensive. You know, obviously, again, I'm saying equipment ain't costly, because when you start doing things at a level where you need the big boy toys, you're gonna have to pay for the big boy toys. That's why they are the big boy toys. You know, the hello. So you're gonna have to pay them coins for the big boy toys. But when you are just starting out, especially if you are completely new to like content creation, start small. Don't overwhelm yourself, because what can happen is you can have all these big boy toys. You're not going to know what to do. You're going to frustrate yourself, and then your big boy toys can catch dust in the corner because you have frustrated yourself so much. You know what I mean? So
there's so many moving parts. Like, unless you have a team, like how are you going to manage all of those moving parts? Like, nothing is worse than you're doing a simple Facebook Live or Zoom and your audio doesn't work because you're trying to connect the external audio and then your external headphones. Like, it's too much. Keep it simple. Keep it simple, stupid. It still works.
Keep it simple, stupid. Yep.
Yeah.
Really and truly, I think, You know, that's one thing I tell people whenever brands come and they say, well, I want to do this and I want to do that. I'm like, yeah, it can be done. Like, you're overthinking it because you are looking at the big names. You know what I mean? But the big names started small. Absolutely. You know what I mean? The big names, they have full on teams, 5 to 10 people that they pay. You ain't got 5 to 10 people money. So you got, if it's gonna be you, if it's gonna be you and your friend or you and your homie or you know whoever, you have to be able to work within the parameters that you currently exist in.
Absolutely.
And then obviously as you grow, then you make the decision. Because you know, when I bought my first camera, I'd already been shooting on my phone. You know, I started my podcast using my phone, and then I was like, okay, so I have Samsung 8 and I have like a Samsung A25, and I was like, but the quality on the 8 a little better than the A25, and I wanted to match, you know. I was like, I wanted to match, and so I had to save my little pennies, and my camera wasn't even that expensive. I got a bundle that came with the camera, the tripod, 2 SD cards, and extra battery, so you can find like bundles. I paid like $700.
Yeah, I got my camera on a bundle too. Absolutely, yeah.
You know, yeah. So if you plan it properly, you can start where you are and grow into where you want to be. You know?
Yeah. Any other questions?
Anything? No?
No?
Nobody?
Okay, maybe they're typing. So while they're typing, are there any projects that you're working on now that we can get excited about?
So I am plotting the return of RETV, which is my entertainment news show.
Yes, awesome.
I am plotting the return of Keys to My Heart, which is a couples focused like reality show where we talk to, you know, Bahamian couples about how they met, how they navigate life and love, you know. So I'm plotting the return of that. Those are my two dream board projects right now.
Okay.
And you know, and the level of production on those is a lot. So yeah, because I remember I did the first season of Keys to My Heart last year, and when I tell you I sprouted at least 10 gray hairs in that process. I thought I was no 10. I thought I was gonna lose my ever loving mind, but
that's funny.
It was rough. And then you were managing the project. You were paying, like I was paying out of pocket, you know, because I wanted to know if I could do it solo dolo before, you know, I made the commitment to be like, okay, I'm bringing this brand in, I'm bringing these people into the. I wanted to know that Emily's daughter could do that. You know what I mean? And so, and that's what I did. And it cost me a pretty penny. But when it was done, and even now I go back and I watch the episodes, I'm like, this was a really good episode. This is, you know, there are a handful of couples that I really, really enjoyed. I love. I'm just bad at it, you know, so I love talking to people about their love stories. I love hearing, and, you know, I love still being in contact with those couples and, you know, checking in with them and be like, hey, how y'all doing? Yeah, so, you know, that was a really rewarding experience, but I learned a lot of lessons. And so I'm implementing the lessons that I learned into season 2, you know.
Oh, okay, awesome. I need to check out Keys to My Heart. I do remember Red TV, of course. So I'm super excited about that one coming back for sure. But I'll check out Keys to My Heart as well. So it looks like we have no other additional questions, which is fine. That just means that we were super informative.
Amen.
Or maybe they're in your DMs asking more questions. That's fine too. You know, sometimes people are shy. Yeah. So any final words for anyone who may be already in the creative space or thinking about doing something creative? Any advice would you have for them?
I think people feel like creative people just pop up one day and we be like, ta-da, here we are, we're doing creative stuff.
I
feel like, I reach. You know, I think people don't realize how much thought, planning, effort, you know, doubting, you know, how much expense it is. People don't take those things into consideration. And so that can be very discouraging, especially if you are a new creative and you feel like, I want to do all these things, but doing these things in this country expensive, and I don't necessarily have this particular skill or that particular skill, or I don't know if people watch and engage and do all these different things. And you have to silence the self-doubt. Yeah, you have to silence the self-doubt. And you know, like I said earlier, one of the things I learned being in a newsroom is you got to do it scared. You gotta talk to yourself and go, all right, we putting on our big girl pants today, and we going. And even if you go and it doesn't work out, you learn the lesson. You learn how to navigate. You learn what not to do. You learn what to do. Right. You make some friends, you know, you form alliances. There's a TikTok video. Do you want to form an alliance with me? Yes. Good. That's like you form an alliance, you form alliances, you make friends. And you know, as a creative community, we have to stick together. You know, we gotta learn to support each other and be there for each other and ask each other questions and teach each other. I think that's what I would say. I was like, don't be discouraged. Find your tribe, find your creative tribe, talk to people who have done it. You know, sometimes you have an idea. I know a lot of times people are worried that their ideas are going to get poached. You know, if I tell you how many ideas.
I was going to say, I think we kind of all deal with that. I mean, I don't want to be, oh Lord, I forgot this is Candid Conversations. I have to eat my own words now. But I don't know if you saw my IG story last week. There's only 2 people on here, so I really don't care at this point. But okay, let me say it like this. I put up a reel. I posted a reel about copying other people's content.
I saw, and you like, don't.
One of the people who engaged with that post, that's all I'm gonna say. I don't want to call the person out because I don't want to start. It really doesn't matter. The person, one of the people who engaged my post, I was surprised because this person is always in my stories, and this is the first time that I have ever noticed that they engaged with a post. So I was like, "Oh, look at you coming over to the dark side." You know, you know how it is. Instagram posts versus stories, the engagement is always different. It's vastly different, right? Which is fine. So anyway, I decided to click on this person's page, and then I know the majority of my audience is they're in digital marketing or some kind of marketing or PR space again, which is fine. So I clicked on this person's page, and I realized, oh, they also have a marketing company. So I clicked on the marketing company's page in their bio, only to find out, as I kept scrolling, I saw one of my posts in their feed. And they actually even copied one of my captions almost verbatim. And I was just shocked and appalled. Because I'm like, you just like a post that talked about not copying other people's content.
And then you went and copied my content? Ooh.
No tag, no credit, none of that. It's been a while. I normally don't follow other marketing companies because I've seen it happen to me so many times that I see. I guess it'll be a distraction, and I have work to do, you know, obviously. But you know, it's I don't know. I guess it must be a part of the industry that you're gonna get your ideas are gonna get stolen, or someone's gonna copy your content. Period.
You know what? I tell people there's really nothing new under the sun. And we have the community is small, and the creative community is even smaller. So sometimes, you know, you may see something, and you'd be like, oh, I had a similar idea, or they execute, you know what I mean? But even if you have a similar idea to someone, always find a way to make it different. Always find a way to make it better. Always find a way to do it differently. Because I think that's important. Like you need as many different and varied voices. And if we just copy everything that everyone else doing, then that really ain't the point. You know, that's really not the point. But to your earlier question, I think it's easy for creatives, especially creatives here in Nassau, creatives in this country, to get discouraged. Because it don't, you know, sometimes you be trying real hard and you keep running into walls. You keep, you know, whether that's someone taking your content idea, whether that's not having the funding, whether that's not getting the support, whatever it looks like, it can be very discouraging. But if this is something you really want to do, if you say, I have a passion for creating content, I have a passion for being a marketer, I really enjoy this type of work, I get, you know, I get satisfaction out of creating this content, then do that, you know, because it can take people a while to catch on. You know, it can take people a while, but if you are consistent, you know, if you build it, they will come. That saying, it's true. You know, it may take a while because the building might take long to build, you know, but if you build it, they will come, you know. And I think we just have to remind each other that you gotta keep trying, you gotta keep pushing. Not to say you run yourself into the ground either, chasing something that isn't working, or you know what I mean. But you have to learn to pivot. You gotta keep learning, keep researching new techniques, researching new things. You know, that way you can stay fresh. Yeah. You know, so you can stay fresh and your ideas continue to be creative. They continue to draw people in. I think that's the best advice that I could just give people. Don't be discouraged and keep going.
Yeah, those are some really good nuggets in there. It definitely is a benefit. I could see it for me and other people who are in the creative space. Whenever they get discouraged by people either stealing their content or wanting up them on an idea that they may have had, you know, you have to put blinders on. You know, you have to stay focused and have that long-term goals. You know, I absolutely agree with what you said as far as you know, just having a plan and not getting discouraged. Focus on your plan. You know, honestly, I know we said so many metaphors already, but the grass is so much not greener on the other side. You don't know what people. It's so
you might see a particular individual everywhere. They look like they getting everything. They ain't getting paid no money. They ain't making no money. They ain't doing nothing. They are slaving away and not being compensated properly. So don't go around and with people wishing, oh, I wish I was doing that. You know what else? I'm going to say this to my mommy. Say this to me all the time. Creative people always have a lot of ideas. Like sometimes I would literally. I stay with a notebook. I always writing something down, right? That's God. God is giving you these. God is giving you these ideas. He's giving you these creative ideas. You'd be like, ooh, that could work, because God know what He done give you, right? He done, and I mean to preach, but God know what He done give. Wow. If you take too long, if you sit on that idea and then you're gonna wake up one morning and someone else can do your things. Yes. Someone else can, because the idea is a good one. Someone else can have that good idea too. And they ain't gonna be scared. They can jump in head first, they can be like, boom. And then you're gonna wake up and be like, mother freeze, that really was my idea from like 5 years ago. What did it take you 5 years? 3 years, 2 years? When God didn't give you that and He say, all right, now go do that. Yeah. But you was dilly-dallying. So that's the next thing. Don't sit on your ideas too long. Don't let fear cripple you into inaction. Yeah. Then you don't make no money. That's it. Don't let fear cripple you. I used to have to tell my child, I used to have to tell myself all the time. I used to be like, all right, we can put on our big girl pants today. We doing this or we ain't doing? What we doing? Right. What we doing? What's we doing? What we doing? But he said, we drinking or we thinking? Like, same time. We drinking or we thinking? We do it. Cause, you know, so yeah, that's my little spiel, you know. Don't be discouraged, creative. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, all good nuggets. I could relate to every little bit that you said. Absolutely. I mean, even as you're talking, reflecting, even, you know, just doing the craft. Like I told you, something that I
I had done when I first started Poetia Group. I did one episode with Sherrod Lightwork. And I was like, oh, this is so fun. I'm going to keep on doing this. And I didn't do another one. And I've been, like I said, kicking this can down the road since the beginning of COVID. You know, every time someone contacts me and be like, girl, you see what so-and-so say about what they doing? And we all who are in the marketing and PR space know who the true marketers are because we've either worked before all together, our paths have crossed, or Appiah is a friend of someone else, and I'm like, I may not know you personally, but I know that you are in this space. You know, the market is too small for us to not know each other. So when we see people on social media, thank God for Instagram, when we see people on social media perpetrating, the more I saw it and the more people would send me screenshots, the more I was like, dang, I really want to educate Bahamians on what this really looks like, what a true marketer looks like, what a true writer looks like, a true journalist looks like, a PR publicist, whatever. So they won't be making these mistakes. You know, there are affordable avenues to get good return on marketing and PR, but why should you invest, let's just say $500 in someone or an entity and they can't even produce? So I would rather me try to help you save the $500. And in the meantime, let me big up the people who I know in my network, or people who I know beyond my immediate network, who I know are just doing the work. They're authentically doing the work and authentically getting results. Not fake results, not likes, but actual results. So that was the premise of the craft. This is the first one, the first of many. Thank you so much, Appiah.
Thank you so much for having me,
girl. Thank you so much for joining.
I appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much. Have a great night. And I'll more than likely, I'll probably do a story and all of the equipment that we mentioned. Put it up in the story. I think that's the best way to help everyone.
Yes.
And some links or whatever. But thank you again so much. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I know you're not going to bed right now. But
no, I got work to do. I have press releases to write.
Oh wow. All right. Godspeed. Good luck with that. Thank you.
Thanks so much. All righty. Bye.
Bye.